Hey, it's the Chief. Buddy, with board games, we're going to be talking about Combat Commander Europe, 4th edition. This has been around forever. What the heck am I doing with it on the table now? Well, that's a story within a story. But first, let me tell you what this isn't. I'm not going to go in and take a look at the game, and I'm not going to give you any kind of playthrough. Why? Well, first of all, let me show you. There's tons of maps. Tons of maps that go together and really work nice. You got a lot of gameplay here with the maps. You got a very concise and tight rule book and playbook. I thought maybe this is the playbook. This is version 1.1 of the rule book. Concise, tight, extra little notes showing you what changed. They even give you a nice little case that holds your counters so that you can get them out and get them played quickly. But if you want a real tight and nice overview, something that I can't improve upon, so I try. Castelli Reviews. The guy knocked it out of the park. It's up and down in like 11 minutes. Phenomenal. Go check that out if you want an actual overview. He shows how the cards work, how the orders work, and he does it beautifully. I'm not even going to try. Second, if you want a playthrough, there's folks using Vassal that are literally talking over Skype and working through, you move this and you can move this and here's the card you can play and here's how you simulate the dice with the card. You get 2.5, 3 hours of that. It's there too. I'm not going to do it. What I'm going to talk about is my prejudices. Okay. So, like 2010-ish, Greg Schmitkins, yes, from Hamtag Fan. I was at our board game place. It might have been later than 2010. He'll probably remember the month and the day. I don't. But it was a long time ago. He said, hey, you want to sit down and try this out? I said, tactical World War II? Yes. Europe? Mm-hmm. Let me do it. I played it, and I wasn't enamored with it. I could not get over the cards. I was all hung up with not being able to do exactly what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. And the cards seemed to be in the way. I played it once, never came back to it. Now, over the years, I've seen a 2nd edition, a 3rd edition, now a 4th edition. Expansions into the Pacific, well, a standalone in the Pacific and an expansion for it, and then a whole bunch, the Mediterranean, the Resistance, the Airborne, Normandy, Stalingrad. I love Stalingrad. Now I want it. So it was a hit, and it resonated with a lot of people, and I started thinking, why didn't it resonate with me? So this is going to be a video, I think, for those that it didn't resonate with. If you already own it, got all of it, played it, you get it. All right? But I want to talk to those that don't have it yet. So I got all the GMT. This is a review copy. I did not think they would send me the 4th edition of Combat Commander Europe. It's been out forever. Does GMT really need another review on it? Probably not. But I reached out and said, hey, I panned this. Wasn't interested, but I'm missing something. Would you be willing to send me a review copy? I'll play it. I'll take another look at it. Straight up and down review. They didn't add. There's obviously no hands tied here. I can say anything I like. And they said sure. So I got it. Played it. And the kicker is, this is game first, historical simulation, and perfect accuracy second, third, or whatever. The best I can equate that to is B-17 Queen of the Skies is not a B-17 simulation. And in my opinion, it would be boring if it was. What it does is collapse things that could happen into one tight little deal and makes it dramatic and even touching and painful. I believe this does the same. However, what you're learning here is some of the differences between Russians and Germans and Americans, and the command and control and grouped organized fire, and then some of the randomness that just comes in. And I'm going to give you a bit of a story, because this clicked in for me. Sometimes in this game, and I believe this is why I didn't like it the first time, and if you've only played it once, it may be worth it to find somebody and give it another play, maybe 2 or 3. because I think if you get more than one in, it starts to sink in a little bit what's going on. It's a game that encompasses primarily, which the name should hint at, command. Combat commander, command and control. A lot of games, and when I came into this, I started to see it. What frustrated me early on, I believe, if memory serves, is that I couldn't quite move when I wanted to move. I had perfect information, so I could see that unit over there, and I could see that, and I wanted to get my unit over into the woods and engage and fire. But in this game, if you don't have the cards to move, you can't move. Now, that can be a problem. And I know sometimes early on, you may not have the cards that you need to get, and you can't start enacting your plan, but there's a way to move through your deck. You can dump cards. So if you remember, it's a game first, not a simulation. You got to ask, well, what's Chad going for with that? And what I'm going to call it, I haven't talked to the gentleman. He's got great notes in the book, however, on what he was going for, is instead of Fog of War, I'm calling it Fog of Command. And I'll explain that. So Fog of War is you don't know what's on the other side of the hill. Well, in this game, you do know what's on the other side of the woods or the hill, or what units are sitting inside the house. You know it. So you wouldn't know that. But it's very, very difficult to simulate that when you give an order, it's not always followed the way that you intended it to be followed. That's hard to do. And my feeling is that these cards are what that is conveying. I'll give you a real world situation. Now, it wasn't combat, it was simulated combat. Miles gear and all that, light infantry, I was a medic, blah, blah, blah. All we're doing is running an exercise, a very small unit. I think we're 4 or 5. We were split off from another section. We were supposed to be a diversion. We were supposed to swing around, attack a barbed wire fortified unit, primarily a mortar unit, at least engage them, pin them down, maybe get some penetration if we caught them totally off guard. I was a medic. I was a specialist 4. I was even wearing this hat, if I remember right. We had a sergeant running my little section. The orders were pretty clear. The map was out. But I grew up in the mountains of Colorado. We were in Fort Polk, Louisiana. I knew where we needed to go. I knew about how many meters we needed to slide, and then how we had to break in another direction in order to make contact. The sergeant got confused. The second he got confused, he started to slow down. We were on a timeline. Because we were the distraction technique, we were supposed to draw forces to the little point of contact we made, making it easier for the larger unit to then do their engagement. We don't have time to dither. This is probably my problem why I'm not in the military, or why I didn't make it a career, because I'm telling the sergeant, we got to go that way, like 200-300 meters, and then turn right, whatever direction that was, and we got to go another 400 or 500 meters, and we should have sight on, and then make contact. He wanted to plot it out, figure it out. I'm like, we got to go now, right now. Finally, I convinced him. We were a little late to our target zone, but we did what we had to do. This game reminds me of that. It was frustrating in real life, and sometimes it's frustrating in this game. But that is the Fog of Command. You don't always get the perfect thing that you need right when you need it. I enjoy that. I see why this caught on. First of all, simple system. The cards offer you your orders, and then you have your actions, and if you've got them in your hand, you do it for that unit, and then they go, I go, they go, I go. We can go through all of our units. I can't use a unit twice. There's the command option where you can have a sphere of control over units that are within so many hexes of yours, maybe just your hex, depending on the type of commander you have. So you get the command feeling. You get some of the frustration in the Fog of Command where things don't always work as your orders should. And I believe that is the sweet spot here. Don't forget, though, it's a game first. Sit down with somebody that has it and see if they'll run you through not 1, but 2 or 3. There's some really short scenarios that you can run through and get the feel for the deck, get the feel for flushing your hand or discarding the amount that you can based on the nationality that you're playing, and getting to working through the fog of command. I'm going to leave it with that. I'm going to be playing, I believe, a lot more of Combat Commander. I like how it doesn't take itself too seriously. The deck is right there, but playing the game of managing the deck is a big part of what's going on. And I like that. Once I knew that, I think. And I got over I still like hearing the click-clack of dice instead of flipping a card and looking at the number. But I think the cards do a lot of things very similar. I just reviewed Title Bout 2, Jim Trunzo, where it's card driven and you're looking at different areas of the card to do different things. And this is simpler than Title Bout 2. But there's a very simple thing that you're able to do with cards that make things both random and very controlled. Chief, hopefully that gets you interested in Combat Commander Europe if you have not tried the Combat Commander system. Those that have been playing it for years, you're like, about time you climbed on board. Enjoy the game. Chief, Bonnie with Board Games. See you guys.